The accompanying table describes probabilities for the California Daily 4 lottery. The player selects 4 digits with repetition allowed, and the random variable x is the number of digits that match those in the same order that they are drawn for a straight bet. We're going to use the range rule of thumb to determine whether 4 matches is a significantly high number of matches. So here's our probability distribution. Now, it already tells us that it describes probabilities for the California Daily 4 lottery, but just in case, we just need to look at this. We can see that this carries a numerical value, and those are probabilities that are in between 0 and 1. And then that 0 plus doesn't mean that it's 0. It means that there's a value that represents something that's not 0, but you can't fit it on there, right? So you're going to have 0.664 plus 0.289 plus 0.045 plus 0.003, and then technically you're adding 0 there, right? So that gives you 1.001, which does mean that for rounding errors, we can definitely say that this is a probability distribution. Now, the range rule of thumb for identifying significant values is shown below, where you have the mean and the standard deviation, or the mean and standard deviation respectively, for the probability distribution. Now, significantly low values are when we have the mean minus 2 times the standard deviation or lower. Significantly high values are the mean plus 2 times the standard deviation or higher. And then values in between the mean minus 2 times the standard deviation and the mean plus 2 times the standard deviation are not significant. Now, to find the range of values that are not significant, we first need to calculate the mean and the standard deviation. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up this probability distribution in StatCrunch. So here you can see that we don't have an option of being able to open up this data in StatCrunch. So that means you can either do it by hand or you can do it in StatCrunch. Now down below where it says get more help, you can open up into StatCrunch from there. So I'm going to go ahead and then open this up into StatCrunch. Okay, so there's our information. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter this information into StatCrunch. So I'm going to call this variable x, and then I'm going to call this second column the probability of x. Okay, and then I'm going to put my values in for x. So we have 0, we have 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And then the probability of 0 is going to be 0.664. The probability of 1 is 0.289. The probability of 2 is 0.045. Probability of 3 is 0.003. And the probability of 4, we're going to put 0. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and then use StatCrunch to find this. So we're going to go to Stat, go to Calculators, and then scroll all the way down to where it says Custom. So the values in are going to be the random variable x. The weights in are going to be the probability of x. And then we're going to select Compute. And then down below here, you're going to see what our standard deviation is and what our mean is. So let's go ahead and copy this data into our work. Okay, so now what we want to do is we need to round our mean. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here. So you can see that if we want to round our mean to 1 decimal place, then we should get the mean to be the following. So the mean is going to be 0.4, and that's 0.4 match. And then 2, we're going to round the standard deviation to 1 decimal place, and that's going to be 0.6. So therefore, the standard deviation is going to be 0.6. Okay, so below here, we're going to verify that. So we can see here that we're going to find the maximum of the range values that are not significant. Now that we found the mean to be 0.4 and the standard deviation to be 0.6 match, in the formula for the maximum value, and then simplify. So we know the maximum value is the mean plus 2 times the standard deviation. So we're going to substitute those values. We know the mean is 0.4. plus 2 times the standard deviation is 0.6, and therefore we get 1.6 matches. Thus, according to the range rule of thumb, a number of matches is significantly high if it is 1.6 or higher. Notice that 4 is greater than 1.6. Significantly high numbers of matches are 1.6 or more. Since 4 is at least as high as this value, 4 matches is a significantly high number of matches.